The trunk that contains the terrible curse?
The curse of my family.
And the curse is in the lamp, correct?
Yes. Hey, Mama.
Look at you. You're falling apart.
Oh, Grim, your family is cursed all right, but it ain't yo mama. Hello, Internet, and welcome to Artiste TV, where I don't normally do theories, but having been a theorist watcher since 2011, I just had to channel my inner MatPat-isms for this one, because I believe I've uncovered something mind-boggling about the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. So much so, you'll look at the series in a whole new light. Or not, whatever, this was just made primarily for fun and spooky month and getting Senpai's attention. Now, if you're somehow not familiar with the show or missing out on Adult Swim's new block, Checkered Past, where they're airing their old school animated shows, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy follows, well, Billy and Mandy, as they get into supernatural adventures with the Grim Reaper, created by Maxwell Adams, airing from June 2003 to November 2007, and now resides on Max, where the episodes are wildly out of order, so I'm gonna have to go by the wikis instead. Gosh, it's like you can't trust corporations to uphold the sacred integrity of maintaining a show's air date order. The nerve! Anyway, Billy is the dumbest child you'll ever meet, and Mandy, she's just plain evil. The kids won the eternal friendship and servitude of the Grim Reaper, yes, the Grim Reaper, in the first episode of the series, Meet the Reaper, where Grim is there to reap Billy's elderly hamster, Mr. Snuggles. But Mandy challenges Grim in an effort to save the rodent, which they did thanks to Mandy's quick thinking and kinda was cheating, but whatever. And it was from that moment on that Grim was forced to be Billy and Mandy's best friend forever.
Yeah, and now you're our best friend forever!
And despite the more refined art style in later seasons, the story of how Grim met Billy and Mandy has always remained constant within the show.
Obviously, our crazy adventures began the day we met Grim. The way it really happened was like this. Grim came to reap Billy's 7-year-old hamster, where I challenged Grim to a duel, and we were able to defeat him, freeing Mr. Snuggles and forcing Grim into a lifetime of friendship and servitude.
Oh, please, Mandy. That didn't even look like us.
Now that piece of lore has always been a remaining constant, unlike how Grim actually became the Reaper. Throughout the series' run, the story of how Grim gained his scythe, Black Cloak, and became the harbinger of death has been the most inconsistent aspect of the show's lore. Even more outrageous is that Grim has confirmed all these different stories of how he became the Reaper, because he's either personally narrated them or someone from his past has also confirmed it to be true. In the Wrath of the Spider Queen special, the story goes that there was a school-wide scare-off for all the ghouls to compete and vote for the title of Reaper, which had to take place in the same school Grim was reminiscing about in his junior high days when he was bullied by the Boogeyman in the episode Bully Boogie, where we also see a young heiress, Nurgle, and Lord Payne in Grim's memory, who are reoccurring characters throughout the show, which we'll return to, it's very important. Another retelling of his origins comes from the season 5 episode Dad Days Afternoon, where it's revealed that Grim has been lying to his dad for centuries about being a country rock star in order to gain his love and affection, but he himself was never really happy with that. Grim didn't find his true calling until he stumbled across a scythe on the ground when he was a child and finally felt fulfilled in becoming the Grim Reaper. Now this is the most egregious explanation because it indicates that since he found the all-powerful scythe randomly on the ground, he therefore got to become the Grim Reaper. That is not how careers work. I don't care if it's in the underworld. You just don't come across a briefcase and suddenly you can practice law, or you can't find a stethoscope hanging from a tree and you're allowed to perform open heart surgery. Come on! Where's the consistent logic in my childhood cartoons? In another glimpse into Grim's past, in the season 1 episode Billy and the Bully, when Grim shares advice he got from his mother on how to handle bullies, we see a young Grim in his Reaper cloak talking to his mother, who is also sporting a black cloak. Now, I don't know if it's in the family's dress code, but it could hint at the fact that the title of Grim Reaper is passed down through Grim's family. The season 1 episode Dumb Wishes adds more weight to this version of Grim's origin. In that episode, we officially meet Grim's mom, but instead of her wearing the signature black cloak, she's dripped out in a green dress with pink frills. Now, why else would she be wearing something different if not for the fact that she's possibly retired? She was probably the Reaper before Grim inherited it, and is now kicking back in a cozy lamp granting wishes to those that give her a good rub. The lamp, that is. But you know what else needs a good rub? That subscribe button, and your 3 wishes will come true. But despite his different origin stories, they all end with Grim becoming the Reaper one way or another, whether he found it or it was inherited or some other third thing. And yet, how can I be so confident in in saying that? Well, look no further than the season 2 episode, A Grim Prophecy. Grim is given his cloak and scythe by his parents and sent on his first assignment as the Reaper. While doing his civic Reaper duties, one of Grim's targets is a cave witch who predicts his future as well as the audience's.
You will soon suffer an eternity of commercials!
Okay, with the way streaming services keep piling on ads and special memberships, and even TikTok is joining in, she might be onto something there. Nevertheless, it is right there in canon that Grim, no matter his backstory, as the Grim Reaper, will always end up as the plaything to a dim-witted boy and a horrible little girl. And after some digging into the series, I've realized why that is, and the show actually makes more sense with this theory in mind.
If you've been paying attention, it's because you're a nerd with nothing better to do.
You're damn right, Crow. It's what we theorists do best. Now, Grim has been shown to have immense supernatural powers, but even more so long as his scythe is charged and within his grasp, which he can use to travel to different dimensions. In the episode Puddle Jumping, Grim's scythe opened a cosmic sinkhole that led to a number of different dimensions and places on Earth.
I knew you'd be back!
And in another episode, Scythe 2.0, Grim regularly opens cosmic rifts to travel to different planes of existence and worlds as the kids demand. Along with his scythe, Grim also possesses a bottomless trunk filled with wonders beyond our world. Some items were completely fabricated for the show, while others were based on real-world artifacts that were believed to have supernatural powers, such as a Ouija board, monkey's paw, and shampoo. For a guy who doesn't have hair, let alone skin. You get the idea. Grim has access to both real-world and made-up supernatural artifacts within the show. Plus, bizarre stuff happens all the time in Ennsville, like that meteorite that possessed people so it could eat their brains, or a chicken juggler, turning the whole town into a retro cartoon. This place is fucking bonkers with the supernatural happening. So what I'm getting at here is that since Grim has access to artifacts that would allow him to hop from different dimensions and possibly, maybe, even timelines. Now, I don't want to consider time travel for this theory. That's a whole nother can of worms I don't want to get into. But if we did, it is confirmed in the season 2 episode Test of Time that Grim does have a universal remote that controls the space-time continuum, which means he can fully manipulate time with the remote, go backwards in time, go forward, pause it. He can do whatever he wants with that. But I believe Grim has never used this remote to escape from Billy and Mandy because he knows there's greater consequences when meddling with time. Similar to what happened in the episode Billy Gets an A, where Grim kept going back in time to stop himself from changing Billy's test score from an F to an A and altering their dimension in the process. He just kept going further back in time to the point of trying to prevent Billy's existence. It was madness. The episode literally just ended. They didn't know how to resolve it. Grim might have immense supernatural powers for whatever an episode needs him to have, but he still has to answer to the underworld and whatever limits the artifacts may have. Like in the season 3 episode Wishbone, Grim can't simply make a wish to be freed of Billy and Mandy because the skull's wishes will always backfire onto the user.
Why haven't you used any of the wishes? Like to set yourself free, maybe?
No, wishing is a dangerous business. But more often than not, wishes are corrupted and twisted back upon the wisher.
Which is why this theory is leaning more towards dimension hopping rather than time travel or mystical wishes. Plus, the series has far more experience with the gang visiting different dimensions than time traveling anyway. Like the time Grim got really close to getting rid of Billy and Mandy was in the season 6 episode Detention X, where Grim becomes the kid's substitute teacher and banishes them to the detention dimension. But that backfires horribly on him when Mandy breaks free. So ditching the kids isn't the answer because they'll always come back like some sort of demonic boomerangs, which means that Grim has to escape himself to different planes of existence in the series. But it's not like Grim can just easily take the place of another world's Grim Reaper, unless he can if there is none. At the end of season 1, in the episode 5 O'Clock Shadows, Grim confirmed that there are countless other worlds and dimensions outside of their own.
The Shadow World is the nexus of 1 billion alternate realities.
That episode also confirmed that there's dozens of universes with dozens of other Billies.
There are jillions of other Billies living in jillions of other universes, annoying jillions of other people.
Which means there must be dozens of other Mandys, but so few Grim Reapers. So if there's a dimension where Mandy, of all people, can be a pleasant, happy little girl, then it's not outside of the realm of possibility within the show that there are dimensions where Grim could try escaping from Billy and Mandy, which he already has. Did you notice how there was no mention of a Grim Reaper in the Shadow Dimension? Well, Billy and Mandy had their own doppelgangers, and it's confirmed that everyone that enters that dimension does. Grim didn't.
Coincidence? I think not!
The episode Billy and Mandy versus the Martians also confirms that there's different Reapers assigned to every planet. So who's to say that there aren't Reapers assigned to alternate dimensions, eh? Maybe some of them don't have or don't need Reapers. And that's where Grimm comes in. What I'm simply suggesting here is that Grimm hops into one of these Reaperless dimensions in order to escape being Billy and Mandy's best friend forever. But for every attempt, he fails and tries again. Because it was confirmed in the episode Herder Monkey that if Grimm tries leaving through a portal, he'll just get sent right back to Billy and Mandy. Because Underworld law enforces the terms of their agreement from the game of Limbo that the kids won him in. Grimm can't simply just leave them, otherwise he'll be put into Underworld prison for violating their deal.
If you end your friendship prematurely, if you're removed from the Earth realm, you'll also be forced to spend eternity in Underworld jail.
Even if the kids replace him, Grimm is still bound to these children.
I'll never be free.
On Earth. If you leave Earth, you don't have to be their friend.
Yes, that's the one loophole in their agreement. But since Grimm was still on Earth, he couldn't leave the kids. In the episode Keeper of the Reaper, Billy and Mandy fight over custody of Grimm, and the court ruled to keep Billy's family under house arrest to prevent them from ever moving and separating Grimm from either of them. So even by Underworld rulings, Grimm is going to be tied to Billy and Mandy at all times. But let's be hypothetical and just say Grimm was successful and found a new dimension that's an alternate Earth, which technically stays within the confines of their agreement. And yet, because it's still Earth, he's still gonna be bound to a set of Billy and Mandy, which would explain Grimm's inconsistent backstory. Why else would he have differing stories explaining how he became the Grim Reaper, if not for him jumping from different dimensions with slight altercations? So for every time Grimm recounts the story of how he became the Grim Reaper, I believe he's in a new dimension, and in every one of those dimensions, he's stuck with Billy and Mandy. No matter where he goes, Grimm will always be tied to these wretched kids. But why? Aside from their flimsy rival agreement that could have gone to trial in a court of law, I believe that there is something much bigger at play here. Let's think back to how they all first met. With Grimm doing his job as the Grim Reaper, the kids won the rigged game of Limbo and got the Grim Reaper as their best friend. Grimm is unable to leave the kids of his own free will because the kids won the Grim Reaper as their best friend forever. Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
I am the Grim Reaper, master of the forces of life and death!
Not anymore.
Billy and Mandy don't just own Grimm, but his very job title itself. That's why no matter which dimension he runs off to, he'll still become the Grim Reaper, and therefore Billy and Mandy's best friend forever.
And we'll play together forever and ever and ever.
And ever, and ever, and ever, and ever, and ever!
So it really doesn't matter what Grimm's origin story is. So long as he holds the title of Grim Reaper, he's forever damned to being these vile children's plaything. And taking another look back at the episode A Grim Prophecy, the Cave Witch foresees Grimm's horrible future with Billy and Mandy.
A future where you are controlled by two mere children for all eternity.
Which means no matter Grimm's story, he'll always end up as a slave to a dim-witted boy and a horrible little girl. It's his destiny. A curse, some would call it. I'm calling it that. Unless he had an opportunity to alter one of his fates. When Grimm pretended to be a country rock star for his father's love in the episode Dad Day Afternoon, what if he went on to actually become a musician? Then he would never have become the Grim Reaper and never had to reap Mr. Snuggles, and therefore never had to meet Billy and Mandy. The kids would have just met some other guy who held the title of Grim Reaper, and then that poor schmuck would have been their best friend forever. If Grimm went down a different career path, he would have been saved from Billy and Mandy's torment, but then he'd be denying his own happiness of working his dream job in true destiny. Because Grimm is really important to a lot of key events within the series. His meeting with Billy and Mandy was no coincidence, because without him, there's basically no show. The season 1 episode, Fiend is like friend without the R, the resident of the center of the earth, Nurgle, was introduced and became a reoccurring antagonist because he was jealous of Grimm's friendship with the kids. Without Grimm being present to see them playing together, Nurgle would have never have kept coming back to try to steal the kids to be his own friends, and thus later on would have never met his future wife, Aunt Sis. In another early season 1 episode, Love is Evil spelled backwards. And then their child Nurgle Jr. would have never existed, who made his debut in Son of Nurgle shortly after, which makes him Billy's cousin. In the crawling niceness, Billy found a giant egg in Grimm's mystical trunk, hatched watched it and is now seen as the father of a giant spider named Jeff, voiced by the series creator Maxwell Adams. Pretty cool, huh? Which is unfortunate for a kid that hates bugs. Jeff also makes frequent appearances in the show and almost got married in the hour special Wrath of the Spider Queen. In Hoss Delgado's Spectral Exterminator, we were introduced to Hoss because he was hunting Grimm, thinking that he was a danger to the kids. And since his debut, he either helps the gang with their supernatural problems or is dating the goddess of chaos, Eris, who Grimm also had the hots for at one point, and she was also in his middle school. It all comes together, people! All of these events with these reoccurring characters throughout the show wouldn't be possible if Grimm never met Billy and Mandy. And that is what we call in the Spider-Verse biz a canon event, baby. Grimm's suffering was always predestined, just as the Cave Witch foretold, and it even plays a crucial role into the world of this series. So that's why, my friends, no matter how his backstory may change, Grimm will always become the Grim Reaper, thus being forced to befriend Billy and Mandy after losing that rigged game of limbo. Otherwise, events within the series' lore would never occur and throw their entire universe into chaos. And most importantly, and unfortunately, it's always gonna be our Grimm.
Like anyone in their right mind would ever make the grim adventures of Puddin' and Mindy.
For the sake of their universe, thankfully, no one. And this is what I'm dubbing as the Reaper's Curse. So long as Grimm holds the title of Reaper, his pain at the hands of Billy and Mandy is a small sacrifice to maintain their world's order. It's a heavy burden to bear, and there's no running from it no matter how many dimensions he escapes to, no matter the timelines. But at least Grimm is working his dream job, but also living his worst nightmare. But hey, that's just my theory, and Artiste TV theory! Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think. Am I onto something, or am I just grasping at straws? You know the drill. Subscribe, like, comment, blah blah blah, share. And hey, big ups to my thumbnail artist, Wells. Share some love with them. They did an amazing job on this schmaxy thumbnail. I love it. Applause to them. Good night, everybody, and have a happy Halloween.